Hi, I'm Clay Allison from Wicked Edge, and what I've got here is a knife sent in by one of our customers, Lewis, and this is a knife that was designed by Mark Richmond at Chef Knives To Go, and it is it's what he calls the Artifex, made from AEBL steel, and it is a 270 millimeter, forgive the pronunciation in advance, Sujihiki. And it's a really beautiful knife. It's well made, it's very ergonomic. And Lewis sent it in to us to see if we could answer 3 questions about this knife and our Generation 3 Pro sharpener. So his 3 questions were: number 1, can the sharpener deal with the flexibility of this blade, which as you can see is very flexible. Number 2, can we hit the low 13-degree angle that he likes for this knife? And number 3, can we get it any sharper than the way he sent it in to us? So when I first unboxed this knife and started checking out the sharpness, I was pretty impressed. Just running it down my arm, it was, here and there it was tree-topping hairs. I mean, no contact with the skin, just lopping them off clean, which is really impressive. And so I thought, man, what am I going to be able to do to improve on that? But thankfully, I've got a couple ways that I can measure sharpness, pretty precisely, and then we could see if we could make some kind of improvement that's objective. So the first thing that I did was put it in our sharpness testing machine, which is a pretty simple apparatus for measuring the number of grams required in force to rupture any type of a membrane. So his knife averaged throughout the length of the blade, testing in different sections, 253 grams of force. So I took that average, and then the next test I performed was a hanging hair test, where I just clamp the blade and I take a hair and I just kind of set it along the edge there, about ½ an inch from where I'm holding it, to see if it will cleanly cut off that hair. So the knife, while it did score well in the sharpness testing machine at 253, it did not pass any of the hanging hair tests. So shaving, yes. Even tree topping, yeah, absolutely, but not hanging hair test. So the next question was, the 13 degrees, can this sharpener hit that? So the first thing to do was to grab the laser goniometer. Goniometer is just Greek for angle measure. And the way this thing works is it just shoots a little laser beam onto the edge of the knife, and the edge splits the beam into 2 and redirects it down onto a little scale here at the back of the circle. So you just put the knife in and fire up the laser and then read it. And it's dead on at 13 degrees. So number 1, he sent it in fantastically sharp, and 2, dead on at 13 degrees. The only caveat is here towards the tip. To the last maybe 2 to 3 inches, the angle got significantly wider. It started getting wider around here and got to about 16 degrees, and then finally towards the last ½ inch or so, it was almost 21 or 22 degrees. So when I put it in the sharpener then to see if we could hit that angle, I also spent some time fixing the tip here to where it's also a true 13 degrees. So okay, so we, can the sharpener hit that 13 degrees? Yeah, no problem. We just clamp it. I'll grab my angle cube here and I'll turn it on and zero it to the base of the sharpener, because we're going to call that plane the horizon. And then I'll take a stone and set it on here, and I'll hold the stone in place and take a look at the angle here. And from my side, I can see that we're clearly at 13 or below, and if I flip it around, hopefully you can see it over there. We're not having any trouble getting that 13 degrees. So that's the next question answered. So 13 degrees, no problem. All right, what about the flex of the blade? You can see if I press on the tip here, that's a lot of flex, and working with that kind of deflection is really challenging. And again, if I clamp the knife towards the tip and then I hit the back there, you can see it's really moving a lot. And again, that's really challenging. So the trick then to handling a knife like that in our system is just to do it in 2 sections. Take the front half and then the back half. So I've got it up here in the front, and there's very little flex in this section, and then I reclamp it towards the back, and then there's very little flex here. And when I'm sharpening, I just allow my strokes to overlap the middle there, so I get a nice blended result. And that's how you handle a super flexible knife in this machine. So yes, we can hit the angle. Yes, the flex can be dealt with really easily. And so the last question, of course, is, can we get it sharper than it came in? And the answer there, was just a pretty solid Absolutely. When I put it back in the sharpness testing machine after sharpening it, I got an average reading of 162. So that's down 162 from 253. I think that's like a 90. Yeah, it's let's see here, my notes. Yeah, it's a 91 grams of force less, or 35% less force required to cut through the membrane, and said another way, that's a 75% sharpness improvement, which is, you know, very significant improvement. So even though it came in fantastically sharp, we were able to get it even much sharper. And then of course the last test was, you know, this hanging hair test. And this is tricky because you've got to get the right end of the hair here, because there's scales on a hair that go in one direction, so you have to get that right. So give me a moment. All right, yeah, there we go. We're just popping those off really nice and clean. Not having any trouble popping those. So it's really easily passing that hanging hair test now. So we got a nice 75% increase in sharpness on our testing machine, and then we went from no hanging hair to easily passing that hanging hair, just like that. So a couple notes on how I sharpened it. Since it was in decent shape when I got started, I just used the fine side of our microfine stones, and then I went from there to our glass platens and diamond films just to clean it up a little further. And then I stropped it with our 1 and 0.5 micron strops, and these are cow leather. And at that point, after I did the strops, I was able to get the hanging hair to pass at like a level 1 or 2, but I wasn't thrilled with that. I wanted to go further, so I also used our kangaroo strops with a 0.5 micron spray. It's a little bit of diamond spray. And once I did that, even just a few strokes, further refined the edge to where I was easily getting a level 4 or level 5 on that hanging hair test. So that was my procedure. I lowered the angle by a degree when I stropped compared to when I was sharpening. So I was sharpening at 13 degrees, and then I was stropping at 12 degrees. And a couple other quick notes: when you are trying to get down to that super fine level of sharpness, a bright light helps. I've got this little one here, and I keep it right here where I'm working, and it allows me to really see what I'm doing at the edge. And then you're always going to want to have a marker around so that you can color in the bevel and adjust, you know, your angle in and out accordingly based on where the marker's coming off of the bevel there. And then it really helps to have magnification, so you can see how your scratches are impacting the edge. Is your scratch pattern coming all the way to the edge? You know, what's happening? Are you getting a little bit of a burr? So I like this one here. It's got a built-in light, and I can really see a great level of detail down here, and it just informs me a lot about what I'm doing as I sharpen. So Lewis, thank you very much for sending the knife in, and for anyone that's got questions, you know, give us a shout or check out our website.